Greg Antoy is a clinical hypnotherapist, and he's been a past life regression therapist for many years. He's regressed hundreds of clients into previous incarnations, and he was going to be my hypnosis teacher. He'd arranged for me to watch a session with one of his clients.
And just relax.
I watched closely as Greg sent his subject under. I was very aware that soon I was going to have to do this for myself.
Relaxing and soothing, soothing and relaxing.
Greg had devised his own very effective way of hypnotising subjects, which, sadly because of broadcasting rules, we're not allowed to show you. But there was something very special about the way he was speaking and the phrases he kept repeating.
Floating and sinking, sinking and floating.
After the session, Greg explained his technique, the one I was going to have to learn. It did sound complex, but I wondered if because of that, it was going to have a more powerful effect than the guided visualization fairy story.
The conscious mind acts as a gatekeeper to the unconscious. The unconscious is almost like a child. It's so impressionable. It accepts everything as being true, which is why the conscious mind is there in the foreground to actually filter any chaff or things that aren't true. The sneaky hypnotherapist has got to bypass this mental guard dog.
So it's a distraction technique.
It's a distraction's one element to it, and yes, that's fundamentally it. You are distracting the conscious mind. The conscious mind can only hold something like 7 plus or minus 2 items of information in its memory, if you like, and operates on it. And if it goes into overload, it gets confused.
I mean, is tone important? I mean, it seems to me, because the way you talk when you're doing the hypnosis process is very different to the way you talk as we're talking now.
Yes, it is. I speak in a very, very calm and quiet, but, you know, sort of very pedestrian sort of manner, don't I? And that sort of helps set the scene of relaxation.
Right.
And the content's important as well, because I tend to use some very ambiguous terms.
Right.
Like, I think floating and sinking was one of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this sort of confuses the conscious mind as well. Oh. You can also use things like convincers.
What's that?
Words like really and surely. You probably noticed a few of those words in my dialogue. And really mean, really, here you go. And actually, they are known as convincers. And so you're really working on different levels.
So you just did it to me. So, Greg, what would be my next step? I mean, would I actually be able to, and with your supervision, obviously, attempt to do that?
Absolutely, yes.
The rhythm thing, can you coach me on that?
Let's say sinking and floating, almost a patronizing tone, isn't it? But really, I mean, it's meant to get results.
And do it again, so
sinking and floating and floating and sinking. And deeper and deeper.
Deeper and deeper.
Deeper, getting deeper and deeper. But really, go into free flow journey. I mean, that'll
really?
help. Yeah, seriously. I mean, just don't be hidebound. Yeah, just do what's right for you.
So is that what I should do next? Rather than kind of learn your script, as it were, to sort of come up with something of my own? Would that be something you'd recommend?
I'd say so, yes. I mean, you can use certain elements of what I do because...
Oh, yeah.
And actually add your own slant and things.
How exciting. It's been
My pleasure.
just fascinating, Greg. That's a lot to take in, but luckily Greg was going to be there to help me get through. And after all, the hypnosis was just a means to an end. The end goal was to discover some verifiable information on my subject's past life. God, I've been trying to think of some of my own things to say for the hypnosis sort of speech thing. But it's actually, he's hit on quite perfect ones, because there's that perfect ambiguity with the floating and the sinking. And I haven't actually been able to come up with a better alternative yet. We've come up with drifting and staying still. That doesn't work. It works for the ambiguity, but it doesn't sound very relaxing when you say it, even in the special voice. Well, heavier and lighter. I'm trying to think along the lines of heavier and lighter. Does that work? You're feeling heavier and lighter. Heavier and lighter. Sleepy and energized. That's rubbish. Gliding, no. Smoking and drinking. That's quite relaxing. It's making me really nervous, actually, now the reality that I'm going to be trying to do this. I'm starting to wonder whether I should just stick with Greg's.
In the end, I gave up and decided to use Greg's words and just concentrated on getting the tone right.
Oh, God. Floating and sinking, sinking and floating, all at the same time. It does sound so patronising when I do it. You're feeling more and more relaxed, more and more at peace, more and more at ease. Okay, at least I'm able to do that, looking myself in the eye without laughing now. That's got to be an improvement.
Actor, model and martial arts expert Alex Thorne had volunteered to be the subject of my final challenge. As well as having the sort of glamorous lifestyle you'd expect from a busy television actor, Alex has a darker side. He's one of Britain's most accomplished ultimate combat fighters. In fact, he's so good, he often finds it hard to find opponents who'll take him on. He'd agreed to undergo past life hypnosis with me because he was keen to discover why he had these two seemingly opposite sides to his character, the sensitive actor and the fearsome fighter.
I often wonder why I have this fascination for this, because I really feel like a peaceful person.
Yes.
But I've got this, while I'm a fighter as well, I want to do some martial arts and stuff.
Yeah.
And the inside, I want to be so creative, and I'm an actor.
Walking very slowly and ponderously downstairs because I'm just kind of dreading or just apprehensive, nervous about going to hypnotise Alex. I hope I've had enough practice and I've done my best, but what if he just sits there and doesn't get hypnotised? Where will we be? I mean, surely. I just always thought of hypnosis as this thing that would take forever to learn, and so the idea of, even though I've done my best in practice, the idea of me being able to do it is a really hard one to take on board. I'm going to take a deep breath and wish me luck. So, Alex, thank you very much for volunteering. This is very kind of you. And
Hypnosis is a difficult and sometimes dangerous practice for the inexperienced. So for Alex's safety, Greg was there to supervise.
And how relaxed are you feeling right now? Before we
I
start?
feel very relaxed, and
Oh,
we've had a
good.
chat, and it's like all things quite mellow and chilled.
Excellent. So if you just allow yourself to take a deep breath in and really long, slow breath as you get yourself comfortable. You breathe in to the count of 5 and squeeze the breath out slowly. And it's funny how time almost seems to slow down for a bit when you do that.
Oh, this seems to be going all right. He's drifting off nicely and... Oh no, he's started fidgeting now.
Slowly.
Is it working?
And allow your mind to dwell on the tips of your toes and just register any changes and feeling there.
Yes,
Starting
he
to
seems to be getting
tingling and
hypnotised.
feeling.
Broadcast regulations about hypnosis on television mean that I can't show you everything I did to put Alex under. But luckily, I did remember what Greg had taught me.
Sinking and floating, floating and sinking, almost all at the same time.
Alex was finally under, and as he began to tell his story, I wondered if his acting skills would mean a more dramatic past life recall.
It looks like by the sea.
What sort of year do you think it is?
30s, 40s.
And do you
I
live
can see a
there?
road with
A road?
white fences. Is it Weymouth?
Weymouth. Did you work today?
No, don't want to talk about work.
Is it tiring? Strenuous?
Stress.
Stress? What is it that you do?
And he said work, I just saw like submarines and dark and just black.
Things were getting interesting. Alex then came up with the name
You Roger? No.
How about a surname?
Collins just came to my mind.
Roger Collins.
I don't know why.
Does that sound right?
Roger Collins? I miss my family.
Where are they, do you know?
They're safe.
They're safe.
It must be war. War? It's gotta be. I'm English. I'm an agent. British intelligence.
And do you need to infiltrate some particular operation?
Deutschland.
Where are you going to Deutschland? You speak German, Roger. Guten Morgen, Roger.
Guten Morgen.
Dankeschön.
Bitte schön.
Suddenly, British intelligence agent Roger Collins was in Nazi Germany on a secret mission when things went badly wrong for him.
I've got a German uniform on. Grenade.
Wow.
Something's burning. A lorry.
Have you carried out your mission yet, Roger?
I don't know. My head hurts.
Are you hurt?
Yeah, I'm cut. I've got a big gash in my leg.
And your head hurts too? Anywhere else?
I'm pumping. And now I'm tired.
Are you bleeding? What happened? Why is the lorry burning? What went wrong?
At this point, Greg thought Alex was getting too stressed reliving this incident, and we brought him back to the here and now.
Doors hiss open again. Have the lift. And you're becoming more and more awake and aware.
And then we clap and you
Oh my God.
Oh,
Wow.
Was that weird?
Oh my God, that was very weird. Quite amazing.
Wow.
Jeez.
it's amazing how Alex's face changed. You see
Oh
how
my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. Is the war something is that a period of history you're interested in?
Yeah, but not overly.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all history, but it's
Yeah.
not, I'm not obsessed with it by any means. you
Right.
know, only as any other young lad would be.
Sure. I mean, do you believe that that was a past life, you're remembering it, or does that seem a difficult thing to take on board?
It's going to take a little while.
Yeah.
I'm very open to it.
Right.
Very open. I just need to let that assimilate.
Yeah. Gosh, Alex, thank you so much for going
No,
through all that for
Thank
us.
you. It was kind of like, that was interesting. I like that.
We failed to find any record of Roger Collins, but who knows, perhaps his identity is still protected under the Official Secrets Act.
Well, there are a few surprises there in my journey into past life regression. The first being, I think, there was that expectation that you're going to get everybody being Cleopatra. We didn't have one Cleopatra, and I tell you what, there were times when I kind of wish there was. I just think I was expecting people to have very dramatic things that they were coming up with, and everyone seemed to be quite subtle, quite gentle, and also in a way related to things that concern us now. This almost seems to be some kind of form of therapy. It's something that people genuinely find helpful. What I wanted to find more than anything was some kind of evidence. And I looked and I looked. I looked at the people that we saw and the things that they'd come up with. And we also looked at old, well-documented cases. And I have to say that I couldn't find any verification. Ultimately, I think it's a matter of belief. You either believe that we've all lived before and we can remember these past lives, or that's not something you believe. And if you're somebody who requires proof and verification in order to believe, then I'm going to assume that you don't.
Jane finds herself totally charmed in next week's investigation. She's looking at Wiccan religion and casting spells next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Stay here now for Sexcetera.